I think that the WCD is an incredibly important organization, and I'm going to say I hope it will be an incredibly important institution as we move through the next several years and the next decade, because we do so desperately need to have more points of view, more longer range thinking, more complexity thinking on those governance structures. And there are different ways to get to there, but I think women are certainly one of them.
Well, apart from it being the first ever network of women corporate directors from all over the world, from all different industrial sectors, it's really providing the impetus for corporations and countries to realize that women directors bring huge assets to the goals of corporate competitiveness in today's global economy.
Many boards, until fairly recently, were friends of the CEO, friends of the chairman, were among a group predominantly of men who knew each other a great deal, and they were more of a group that performed other kinds of tasks than is required in the last decades now.
We're all active consumers, whether it's in terms of goods and products or in stocks and shares. So if we can say that we're keen that the businesses that we support actually do what I would regard to be the right thing, which is build diverse groups around their tables, that will mean that they'll perform better, and it will give more opportunities to get more women on the boards.
The importance of getting women on boards or in the C-suite is just as important in the BRIC countries, probably sometimes even more so than it is in the US, and I think all countries, all corporations, particularly if they're multinational corporations, need to pay attention to this.
At the Procter & Gamble Company, we think of diversity as part of our DNA. In a company like ours with a purpose of touching and improving lives of the world's consumers, we want our employees and our directors to, in a sense, represent the consumers we're trying to serve. And so if we're going to have a hope of touching and improving the lives of the world's consumers, we have to have employees and directors who have empathy for those world's consumers. So we try to get a board that's very diverse, diverse in gender, diverse in education, diverse in fields of expertise.
We have chapters in Europe, chapters throughout Asia, and more coming there. In the Middle East, we have our first chapter. We'll have our first in Africa at the end of the summer, and we have almost a half a dozen in South America. So we're getting good penetration, and I think the reason for this is that the whole focus of having more women on corporate boards, just because of the absence of that, is becoming a political issue across Europe and even in Asia. And with that focus, the women who are going on these boards are really looking for that peer group that they don't have.
There's no question that there's need for different perspectives, and I would take that beyond gender. I know we talk mostly about getting women, but I think it's important to get people from different ethnic backgrounds and actually also people of different age groups, because what a board or a management team should really represent is the customers, the suppliers, the vendors, the employees of that particular business. And since all of that, all those stakeholders are completely global, and there's lots of women and there's lots of Hispanics and Latinos and Asians in that mix, the boardroom and the management team should manage to get some representation of that.
The agenda for what the complex issues are that companies are dealing with has to be set at the board level. And this is not to be confused with management, but it is about what the mission of an organization is. And that a fully engaged board, and the most effective boards are also diverse boards, are the ones that are going to best be able to do that for increasingly multinational companies facing a myriad of both competitive challenges and fast-changing environments.